just want to talk briefly about not being afraid to plant some stuff, or making sure that it's the perfect time, the perfect plant, perfect companion, perfect whatever. I have really changed some things this year. I have really experimented this year. Some things have turned out good, some things have bombed, and I'm still experimenting, still planting some stuff, trying just to push the limits of our season and see what it will take us. So behind me let's see, there's 6 tomato plants behind me here on these stakes in the middle. Now this was one of my mistakes. So those are beefsteak tomatoes. They take 120 days to mature. And I bought these plants from a store in town, and I bought, I forgot how many I bought, but I bought a lot of them. This actually had 18 plants in it at one time. I put one every square foot, which was a mistake. I ended up with a lot of blight right off. The plants just weren't doing very good, so that is definitely one of my mistakes. So I decided after a while, I got a few tomatoes off of it, nothing like what I probably should have. I decided to rip a bunch of them out, so like 12 tomato plants, feed them to the chicken, compost them, whatever, and I actually took all the leaves off these, almost the whole pole, and they are coming back out quite a bit from what they started with whenever I moved them. But now I have stuff on the bottom. I have some cilantro planted, some kale, some spinach. I have some thyme over there. Just a few different things, just kind of experimenting. I didn't know if I would kill them when I did that, if they would live or whatever, and they've done really well. They're actually blooming again. Now whether or not I get tomatoes off of them, I have no idea. I did leave the ones back over that I actually bought with those, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. Don't know that I'll buy beefsteak again, because I don't know that I really like those as well. This here is another bed that I have kind of experimented with. I've just got an assortment of radishes, lettuce. There was some broccoli and cauliflower in here. I don't think that made it. But I've got some sweet potatoes, just all kinds of things in here. This was kind of an experiment. I wanted to see just, you know, I had some old seed, threw it in there. Let's see what will grow, what will not grow. And the lettuce has done really well. The sweet potato has actually done really well. It's going everywhere, vining out. I haven't really found, I found a couple of bugs on this lettuce. And I think it's because I have other things planted in here with it. And I was watching a video that if you kind of intercrop, sometimes the insects have trouble finding that specific plant that they're looking for. So this lettuce has done really well. I made a salad out of it the other day, and it looks like I'll be probably harvesting a little bit more. I just took the outer leaves off, the bigger leaves off, and that's what I did the first time. I still have tomatoes. These tomatoes back here are all tomatoes that I started from seed, and I started my seeds a little late, so these got in the ground a little later. I actually had planted them in a raised bed like I had the other ones. Figured out that that was not a good idea, and I actually dug them up with a post hole digger. I have a video on that I'll share, but that worked out really well. It didn't disturb as many of the roots, and planted them, and they came up. They have done really great. We added some watered down blood from the chickens that we harvested, and that was a great fertilizer for them. But I have some heirlooms in here, some dark chocolate cherries in there. I have just regular cherry tomatoes. There's just quite the assortment in there. There's some Abe Lincoln tomatoes, just all kinds, and I'm really not sure, other than the chocolate cherries, what some of them are. The heirlooms, of course, look a little bit different, but they're doing fantastic. And it's mid-September. I'm gonna just leave them and let them go and do their own thing. This empty spot right here is where I did have the spaghetti squash. The squash bugs did get it, but these are all my new cucumbers. I've got some over there as well. I pulled out the other cucumbers. These are doing fantastic. The squash bugs have found them, but I've been kind of battling them and the cucumber beetles, but I do have cucumbers coming on, as you can see right there, and I'll probably a few days and I'll be picking some more cucumbers. I'm really happy with the cucumber plants. I love slicing them up, putting them in vinegar, water, a little bit of sugar, and just keeping them in the fridge. I do can some, but I will eat these through the summer just sliced with, I love vinegar, so sliced in the vinegar, water, sugar mixture. and they will keep for a long time in the refrigerator. So that's what I do with a lot of these. I want to can some more though, because as fall's coming on, I'm not going to get as many of these, so I need to probably can some before the actual frost comes, because once the frost comes, these will die off. Here I have some new zucchini plants right there, and I have a flower here, and I don't know how to pronounce that, nasturtium, not real sure. I've got some yellow squash over here that's coming up really well, and then some okra. This is 55-day okra. Again, don't be afraid to plant something you may not like. I have never planted okra. I'm not sure that I really like okra, but I've never eaten it raw. So that's one thing I am curious about. This is 55-day okra. Gonna give it a try. It's just a few seeds out of the package that I got, so I can do more next year if I want to, but I had some extra time in the growing season for that, so I decided to go ahead and start it. Got some rutabagas coming up right here. I'm not sure about these. Planted just a few. These take quite a while, so these will possibly even be in here in the spring. Tomato plants. I will do something a little bit different. I put these panels all the way on the ground, and I shouldn't have. I should have raised them probably a couple of feet up and given more height for these tomatoes, because they are up and they're falling over and they're back up. And as you can see back there, I did plant pole beans behind that row over there. And they are doing really well. They've kind of taken over. They're really shading. You can see there, they're really shading the poor tomato plants. I have been able to get some tomatoes out of there, so back in there is the heirloom tomatoes, and I think they take a little bit longer, and they have a little bit different shape, but I really like those. They're pretty, and I'm curious to see what they taste like. And I mentioned planting some more things. So I've got spinach, and it's not coming up. It's old seed, so it's not coming up. I think I've used all of it, and none of it has sprouted yet. But got some more lettuce coming up, some, let's see, Swiss chard, some red mustard is coming up. And then over here, I just planted this, and I thought I saw something coming up earlier. Yeah, I can barely see it. One little thing coming up. These are the watermelon radishes. There's more of them. As you can see, my little labels, I have all kinds of things planted in here just to kind of see if, you know, it'll come up. And then there's this one. I've got some purple top turnips. Those are coming up really well. The radishes are coming up really well. Let's see what else is coming up. There's some kale coming up right here. Just lots of experimenting. So I guess I've still got tomatoes coming on. I'm excited about having more cucumbers, but I've just got other things out here planted, just kind of doing some experimenting. So don't be afraid. I've gardened for years, but never on this scale. I've never tried new things like this and spent very much time out here. I always had trouble with weeds. So making sure that I plant everything and take up as much space as I can in the raised beds has helped a lot. Got watermelon, like it's just seed that I've had. But over here we do have an acorn squash coming up here, and it's actually bloomed, so I'm not sure if we'll get maybe one acorn squash. That'd be pretty cool. I had some old seed, planted some acorn squash, they came up. So we might get one, I don't know. There's just one little bloom open on there. There's other blooms gonna open up, but may get one, depending, I guess, on the weather. You just never know where we live. So I came inside and saw that I had a lot of excess milk, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing with that. Making butter. Lots of bread, not bad at all. It's usually a towel, but this way I can see it better. And then over here, I'm getting ready to make some yogurt. Alright, so I usually will dip out a little milk and put the yogurt starter in there. Today, this is the only one I had. You just have to make sure that it has the active yogurt cultures in it, and you can use it. I don't normally use that. I like to use yogurt that I've already done and just save a little bit and make more, but that's what I had because I've got excess milk. Really didn't plan on making yogurt today, so I took a little bit out, and then I just mix it up really good. And like I said, it's usually a whisk that does a much better job. So you're just gonna mix that up, and then you're gonna pour it into the big pot with all the other milk in it. All right, we're gonna see if I can do this one-handed. All right, so you pour this in here. Now this is raw milk, so I don't actually have to heat this up to like the 180 degrees or whatever. This I usually heat up to about 100. This one went up a little bit over that to 110, but that'll be okay. I'm just gonna mix it up really, really good. Now this Instant Pot does not have the yogurt feature, but I did figure out how to do it, which I wouldn't be using the yogurt feature now anyways. So I just put the lid back on, seal it up, and it's still warm from when I had it on and whenever I heated this up, the milk in there. So I will just unplug it and leave it there until tomorrow morning. I actually have a lot of extra cream. This is actually cream from a couple of weeks ago, and then I've got last week's cream, and then I just separated milk, and I have that cream as well. So I'm going to be making lots of butter. That's usually what I do with my cream. I just make a lot of butter and then I freeze it, and I have a butter mold that I push it into. I'll show you that in just a second. Here's our extra refrigerator out here in the pantry. So this is last week's cream, and then that is this week's cream, and then this is the butter mold. I keep it in here just because I cleaned it and then put it in here to keep it so it doesn't get warm or anything, but that's basically it. I just push the butter in there, get all the air out, put that on, and I put it in the refrigerator, and then they get hard and I take them out, wrap them in some, I think I've been wrapping them in wax paper because that's what I had. I've got to get some freezer paper. I may have some of that, I'll have to look. And I'll just wrap that, put it in a freezer baggie, and get them out as we need them. That way they stay fresher. You can leave it in the refrigerator, but it only stays good for so long because you're really not getting all of the milk out. I try to get as much as I can by squeezing it out, but you're not getting all of it out, so it does, it will sour, which I guess you could still use it, but we don't like it like that, so I freeze it and then we get it out as needed. Alright, so this is what the butter looks like. It is done. Alright, so this is the butter and the buttermilk, which I didn't even know when I did this, that's where buttermilk comes from. So I usually just have this fine mesh, I guess, strainer, and over a bowl, and I just pour it in there so it catches all the butter. And then we have butter and buttermilk. And then I will take this, strain some more out of that. And then we're going to turn on some cold water. Make sure the water's cold and our hands are clean. And we're just going to kind of squeeze the butter under the water. And you're going to see that the water coming out underneath is a milky color. That's more of the milk coming out. The more milk you get out, the more the butter will stay longer. So I just usually try to get out as much as I can. And there we have the butter. Put it in the molds now. Okay, I already have some that I did earlier in here. I'll finish this one up and go ahead and fill that one. I just pinch off the butter and just kind of smash it in there and get the air out of it. This is why you definitely need clean hands. And it does smash more of the milk out. I have found that these bars weigh about 3 ounces, so they're about an ounce less than traditional bars that you buy at the store. So those are pretty level. Probably could use a little bit more in that one. And then I will put these back in the fridge. You can see some of the milk is coming out. Then I go ahead and save some of the buttermilk. You don't have to, but I save it for pancakes and stuff like that. So that is probably all I will save, and then I will probably, super easy, and it really doesn't take a whole lot of time. I let my mixer go while I'm doing other things, so just come in here and check on it every once in a while. Okay, well, since 2 of these were already in the fridge long enough that I can pull them out, I'm going to go ahead and show you that. I just got a plate, and so these 2 are the 2 that were in there long enough, and I just flip them upside down.